Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Well, is there an attack coming? There's breaking news all over the place. Rita, tell me about some of the breaking news that's coming in.
Well, there's a lot, John, especially tied to Iran. Just a report coming out that the U.S. is withdrawing all forces from Syria. There's also reports from Israel that they're preparing the Home Front Command, preparing for war. Also a report in Axios saying that they're being told by senior military officials that it looks like some sort of potential U.S.-Israel strike happening against Iran in the next few weeks.
Is somebody having an oh crap moment?
I would say the mullahs, for sure.
I understand General Holt is on?
Yep. Let's go to breaking news with him.
Breaking news, WABC.
And joining us now is Brigadier General Blaine, Holt C-17 commander and also deputy representative to NATO. Brigadier General Holt, what are you hearing? This could be big news.
Yeah, looking at the presentation of forces, and it really does look like some of the movements we're seeing are getting us back to what I would call a cocked gun position, meaning we're now that we are ready to actually execute strikes on naval positions that they hold near the Straits of Hormuz and then selected targets in Iran. I don't have a timing for you. I would imagine that since the negotiating team stormed out of Geneva and said, we'll be back in 2 weeks, 2 weeks is not going to get it done. And I think this last big push of the president's to show massive force, is available to him now, is really the signal that this is your final chance.
Why, General, why did our troops pull out of Syria? I was scratching my head. I couldn't figure that one out.
Well, so they have short-term or short-range ballistic missiles that do pose a very real, credible threat to those positions that our folks on the ground wouldn't have a whole lot of reaction time depending upon the severity that we'd be taking to Iran. So if they're not part of the military operation writ large, then they shouldn't be there. And I think it's very, very good force protection measures to go ahead and pull them back. And it's also another way to send a message that, we're getting ready for something very real. I watched 6 AWACS airplanes go into theater today. That's our command and control for a sustained air campaign. That's what you saw in shock and awe in Iraq. That's what you've seen in Afghanistan. Those are the airplanes that keep an aerial ballet up overhead of combat operations 24/7.
And we have Rudy Washington, former deputy New York City mayor, with us.
General, it's good to talk to you again. I read the 2 weeks. We'll talk again in 2 weeks. Is after they've taken a whipping, to sit down and say, okay, now are you ready to, get out of town? That's how I see the 2 weeks.
I think you're right. I mean, if they're going to be that recalcitrant, they are playing a pair of twos here. And what I would say is that if this comes to military blows, the president's new terms will be, there will be no Ayatollah regime or Islamic State regime over the top of Iran. And in fact, we'll be helping the new revolutionaries reclaim their country and go to self-governance in that regard. If we have to take it this far.
I have a question, Blaine. We haven't talked about this, but what do know is going on, or what are you hearing? You get a lot of intel of what's going on the ground there, because obviously we've seen an enormous amount of protesters coming out. We've also sadly heard of a lot of them slaughtered. But there seems to be this massive resistance movement. What about also on the military level? Are there some folks who will flip against the regime?
Yep, they're flipping. And then the other part I'm hearing, Rita, is that there are IRGC members, secret police members, army members that have quietly told the population, hey, listen, if this thing breaks in a certain direction, you don't kill me. I'm going to be right there with you. So one has to wonder, is what's underneath and undergirding the Ayatollah falling apart as we speak? And I think that this massive show of force that the United States has is really President Trump's efforts to show the IRGC and these army members, you would do well to now join the Iranian people, because this is what you face.
Rudy.
You know, General, I think it's important that we tell all Americans, keep your eyes open, because we've allowed 13 million, 14 million people walk in here, and we don't even know who they are or what they're planning. And I'm convinced.
Those are wise words.
They got a plan, so I think we need to be alert, be frosty.
It's a Hail Mary pass option that if they're not going to go to exile, then that's what they would take. They would activate cells here. Don't know if there'd be compliance, but then they also have at their fingertips 2,500 ballistic missiles that they could wreak havoc all over the Middle East. It wouldn't just be Israel in the crosshairs. They would try to turn allies against allies by hitting those other capitals as far as Ankara.
Wow. Well, please keep us posted. Blaine, Holt, whatever you hear, there are so many reports that there may be some action imminently. You hear the force of U.S. troops being moved. You're hearing movements from Israel. All of this certainly looks like they're teeing up to something. General Holt, please keep us posted. Whatever you're hearing, this is very important stuff.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.